Greetings, comrades, and welcome to the Rad Gaming Podcast. I'm Pescador.
And I'm Jemshi. And in this episode of the podcast, we interview LuxieGames, a former Disney princess and ex-Justice League member who transferred this theme park skill set to her career as a streamer on Twitch. We dive into her strategies of quadrupling her social media following in just a mere 3 weeks, and then how she utilizes her chat to its fullest potential and her way of how to deal with failure.
This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Cento Fiore. Cento Fiore is a lifestyle fashion brand that sees beauty in cultural heritage and always strives to offer timeless and elegant style. Visit cento-fiore.com to join the family. That is CENTO-FIORI.com. Now, on to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. But give us some background about yourself. Tell us what you did before streaming.
Oh, so many weird jobs. I was a princess at Walt Disney World for most of my adult life. And a doula, so I assisted women in birth, and then I also was Wonder Woman at Six Flags. and then I transferred over to streaming.
Wait a second. You had two acting jobs, at Six Flags. You said you're a Wonder Woman, and then Disney. What princess were you?
I was Merida from Brave, big curly red hair, Pixar movie.
I can see the
nobody
bubbly.
Knows which one that one is.
Can you do the voice?
No, oh god, I really am so terrible at it. I'm actually reading Harry Potter out loud right now, and I keep giving Hagrid this really terrible Scottish accent. So, and every time I'm oh god, back to the dark days. No, I can't. I just refuse to do it because it's been so long. I quit Disney 3 years ago, and I'm so rusty that I'm no, I refuse to do the Scottish accent. So I'm sorry.
So you have to be you get to dress in wardrobe, right? I mean, that has to be hot.
Yeah. And I live in Florida, so I'm in the Florida Walt Disney World. That's where I worked, and it's a velvet dress, and you wear board shorts underneath it, and long socks and boots.
It sounds like the Civil War. Wearing wool clothing. Jeez, oh man.
I was just really getting in the medieval spirit of just wearing wool everywhere like they used to. It was super fun. I just am super used to the heat now. I'm resistant, basically.
You just don't sweat anymore? Your body just gives up?
There were actually girls that would just sweat from their faces, and I always was just how do you do it? They would run off stage and pat their face and run back out and pretend to be not sweaty and disgusting. I was thank God that's not me.
So how did you get these gigs? Wonder Woman at Six Flags? That's pretty awesome.
So random. I think it all started with me getting my job at Disney. I was 19. I was fresh out of high school. And I don't know what it was, but one day I just woke up and I was I should check the audition page for Disney. I grew up going. I was an annual pass holder. So I ended up checking, and there was an audition the next day, and I didn't have a car or a license. So I called my best friend and he drove me to the audition, and I just randomly, they offered me a full-time job there. And I was it's good money. I'm going to take it. Why not? It's a princess gig at Disney. So yeah, I took the job and ran with it. And I think most of my opportunities thereafter were really dependent on, people really value Disney on a resume. And it's kind of the epitome of customer service normally. So they just, every job after that, people were one of my friends worked at Six Flags and she was we really need a Wonder Woman. And I was dope. And they were well, it pays this and we'll relocate you. And I was well, I mean, can't say no, that sounds fun. So I just upped my life and moved to Maryland for a year to be Wonder Woman. So it's just some strange go with the flow sort of job situation.
It's actually impressive for you to be able to just go from Florida to Maryland.
I went from Florida to North Carolina.
Oh, to North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. I was working at the UNC hospital with a doula program they had going on there, and then I went from there to Maryland. Yeah, Maryland was very strange. As a Southern girl, it was an interesting.
What was your favorite part about Maryland in general?
I lived right outside DC, so being able to go into an actual city, because I'm from I don't know if you've been to Orlando, but Orlando is just the mecca of tourism hell, basically. And some people love it, but it's just strip malls and stuff. So being able to go and see a like a Monet painting in a museum for free on like your day off was like incredible. And there's so many theme parks around there. There's just like a lot to do. And it's so different than Florida. An experience.
I just don't know how like you can go from so many different positions. Like it was tough for me to even think about me making a move from Pennsylvania to South Carolina. And it was stressful, but you did it 2 different times. Well, technically I guess 3 going back to Florida, but you have to be like, I don't know. Like, you have to be adaptive, and that's impressive in of itself.
That someone would even.
It is, but for such a short amount of time, it's just like, it's crazy to me. Like, but it's awesome because you get to adapt. You get to see all these different places.
Yeah, super cool. I think that, I don't know, my grandmother, whenever I sit her down, she's like, so like, what are you doing now? Because I'm always doing something different.
Yeah.
And I will like explain. There was a point in time where I was working at Disney and moonlighting at Universal at their horror nights. And I was also a Girl Scout troop leader, like all in the same go. And I was like explaining all the stuff I was doing. And she was like, you're always doing the most interesting things. And I was like, there's my biography title. But I don't know. Anytime something comes up, I'm like, well, can't turn that down. Might as well go. So and just pack up and do it normally. But
is that your mantra? Might as well, like, can't turn that down. Might as well do it.
Yeah, why not try it once? Let's go. Why not?
So you're a yes person, more or less. Like if anyone says, let's go skydiving, yes, I'll do that.
I'm actually scared of heights, not like, but only in really weird situations. Only like flinging myself off something, I'm like, I can't do it. Like, I don't think I would bungee jump, and I don't think I would skydive, but like roller coasters, I'm normally okay with.
You don't have to worry about skydiving. They push you out of the plane themselves.
Oh, perfect.
I've experiered that firsthand.
I'll make sure to not sign up for that one.
Well, it's funny because they what they do is I don't know about every single skydiving adventure, but they make you go in this tiny plane up, and they take you up, and they open the door and they leave the door open, and I was the lucky one to be first. So they kneel you down right by the door, and you're looking out as the door's open, and everything's so far down there, and I'm like freaking out. I'm like, I'm
gonna die.
Yeah, because I don't really care for heights, but I wanted to do it. I wanted to try it,
Right.
And the guy was like, all right, you ready to go? And I'm like, I guess so. And he's like, all right, on 3, 1, 2. And he doesn't even go to 3 and just jumps out on 2. And we like roll out of the plane. Probably, yeah. I probably would have put my arms up.
I'm just imagining someone behind you like Spartan kicking you out of this tiny airplane.
I couldn't tell what happened to me. He was strapped to my back, but maybe the guy behind him Spartan kicked me. I don't know.
They were like, we're not waiting until 3. Let's just go.
I'm pretty sure someone could have punched me in the face, and I wouldn't have, I was so out of it right then and there. Like, I was in a moment of shock.
It's a really different, like, falling feeling.
It is.
It's not like a sinking feeling. It's just like a rush. That's what I've heard.
To the point that my fingers were tingling, like it was a rush, but it was a good rush. I can't.
Sounds great. It sounds really fun.
It actually was. I would love to do it. It was really fun. I can't. But
how about this? I take your word for it. That sounds great.
Yeah. Is there anything weird that you want to try? Yeah. Yeah,
live vicariously through everybody else that skydives. I'm like, tell me all about your experience so that I can write it down and continue to not experience it. Anything weird that I want to try that I haven't tried?
Yeah.
God, I don't know. I kind of want to kickbox, but I don't think that's weird. I just like really want to be like, I want to kick something.
Spartan kick. You got the Spartan kick in your
I want a Spartan kick.
She's all about that.
I really want to. I don't know. I also, when I was working at Disney, I'm pretty clumsy. So I couldn't dance. When you go to auditions, they're like, okay, and now you'll dance. And I'm like, dope, can't wait. Bad at that. So I started taking like ballet classes, and I never really, that was one of those things that I was like, I'll go to a dance class. Like me, a 21-year-old adult in like an adult ballet class and like leggings just like do, 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 do. So that was a weird thing that I was like, maybe I should try it. And I was, not for me. I'm going to stay away from dancing, I think.
I think Jemshi would be good at ballet.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No?
Yes. I can see it right now.
My sister did ballet, so I've seen it. So it's not like it's foreign.
My sister did too, which is strange to say.
I tried as a child, and I live in Florida, and our studio, I took it for a week, and our studio got hit by a hurricane and literally demolished. And I was like, that's a sign.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a sign right there. Jeez,
I'm not going back to that.
That's insane.
That must have been close then if the hurricane came and knocked that out.
Oh yeah, there's like a 3 hurricanes in a row that hit us as a kid that we were out of school for like 3 weeks. We didn't have electricity anywhere. Yeah, I was like
so
right
it wasn't
in the
even like
middle
a
of it.
fun time out of school.
Oh no, it was like it was like we have like 99-degree weather and no air conditioning, and like people are like boiling water. Really fun experience. Florida's a hoot. You guys should move. It's great down here.
Right?
We've got mosquitoes. We're sinking.
We're sinking.
Is that really a thing?
Yeah, they like predict that Florida will be like below sea level.
Yeah, with all the ice caps melting and all that stuff.
Wait,
Yeah.
How soon? Is that like in
I don't know. It's just imminent.
100 years or
well,
down
Miami
the
is like
road?
Miami floods like pretty consistently, and I think they're always saying it's just bad. We also have anacondas. We have a lot of, tourists that can't drive. It's basically a safe haven. I'm just saying, you guys. I should work for the tourism industry. I'm just going to get everybody to move down.
So there was a podcast I used to listen to called, I still do, is Mikey and Big Bob, and they talk about Florida stories. And every day on their show, they have the most ridiculous Florida stories, and they talk about them, and they're hilarious.
Yeah, I started I was reading the Florida man bits, and I was like, oh my God, we were reading them on stream. I was like, I'm so embarrassed to live here.
Some of them are ridiculous. Like someone used a chipmunk as a weapon or something like that, and or stabbed someone with a fork over a steak.
Oh God. I think we're the ones that had somebody eat somebody else's face on bath salts. I'm pretty sure that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was you guys.
Sounds like us. Wouldn't put it past us.
Even if it was Michigan, I'd be like, that sounds like a Florida thing. I get to check the facts.
It was probably a Florida man in Michigan. Let's be honest.
Yeah, there you go.
He got lost on his way back home.
Well, it was the bath salts. So
yeah, that makes sense. The story fits.
Checks out.
Yeah. So tell us how you got onto Twitch.
So one of my friends sent me a game, and they were like, we really want to watch you play this game, and we think the easiest way for you to do that would be through Twitch. And I was like, okay. This was when I was in North Carolina, and I moved up there basically with no friends. So I was like, whatever. I'm working and coming home and doing basically nothing. Let me play this game. And I played it, and I didn't really think about it after that. I just played for them, just for my friends. I can't remember. I think it was Gone Home or something. It was a really sad and serious storytelling game.
Oh, so they wanted your reactions and
they just wanted to watch me suffer, essentially.
Right, that's what I was
and I think I streamed Terraria once, and I never really touched it. And I moved to Maryland, and Maryland was really, it was such a big change for me life-wise, going from 2 southern locations. I grew up in a really friendly part of the southern part of America. Everybody says, how are you when you check out? Everybody's kind of genuinely kind to you. And where I lived in Maryland, it was not like that. Nobody at work really, I didn't fit in. I was I'm 26 now. I was 25 when I was 24, 25 when I was in Maryland. And I was they're all 16, 17 years old working at a theme park. And I was going there and then I was living in a hotel for the most part. And then when I finally moved into my apartment, I was just I watched so much Twitch. And I was one day woke up and I was man, I perform for a living and I love video games and I love to talk to people. And I was why am I not streaming? What's wrong with me? I grew up playing video games. My parents could watch. They love video games. So yeah, I just started, and then I was damn, I love it. I got to keep going.
I literally saw you come out of nowhere. And, I was, I'm on Twitter as much as I possibly can be, and looking through some things and stuff. And I just saw a comment by you, and it was, I can't remember what it was, but it was funny. So I liked it. And then 2 hours later, I saw 5 other posts by you in a matter of an hour. I'm that's interesting. So I started looking at your followers, and they were I would say below 1,000 or something. Now you're well over 1,000, and that was just a matter of a month or two that you just blew up. What happened? What did you do?
Okay, so I've been streaming on Twitch for over a year, but I always I used to say this all the time. It was really hard for me. I don't know how to explain this, but I was weirdly popular on Instagram when I worked at Disney. I'm bisexual, and I was engaged to a woman when I was working at Disney, and we were weirdly, because people were kind of I guess interested in our life. We had a huge following on Instagram. It was just so bizarre to me that people were like so involved in our relationship and in my career, mostly because they were like interested in my job and that aspect of my life. When we broke up, I, not knowing that I was ever going to need social media again, deleted that account because people would just constantly ask me about that relationship. And I was like, man, this is not what I want with my life. So I've kind of always had this like aversion to social media. I'm like, I don't want to get involved in it. I've had such a bad experience with it. Yeah. And then I just kind of started like following a few people on Twitter rather recently. Like I went through like a pretty big life change. And I've kind of just started really focusing on streaming and on social media. Like 2 months ago, I was like, I'm going to take it more seriously. And I was like, I'm just going to like post stuff that I think is funny. And if other people think it's funny, then that's good. Like I started posting some like clip compilations of like my stream. Like I think I posted one of us playing BioShock Infinite. I absolutely love BioShock. And I had so much fun. I was like, this is like so enjoyable for me to watch and for my people who follow me to watch. I was like, well, I should edit it and put it out there. So I just started following like some funny people and I think they followed me back, and Glitter reposted Glitter XO or XO Glitter. She's a beautiful, perfect human being. She's so funny, such a good streamer. And she reposted my BioShock clip and I got like a little bit of attention from that. And then I don't know what happened. I posted a compilation of me making fun of ASMR, essentially. Like I did ASMR on stream and I was just being really stupid about it because I think it's really grosses people out, ASMR, if you don't like it. So I was like, I have a really crude sense of humor. And I was like, I'm just going to edit some of it together because we were all laughing so hard about it. And I posted that and that got a lot of attention. And then I just started posting like random stuff we do on stream. And it's been 3 weeks, basically. I went from having 400 followers to having 2,100 followers. And I was just like, I don't know what's happening. Like, don't go away. And I'm glad that you're here, but I'm not quite sure why.
I even saw that you posted, I think you have it pinned. You have your cover on your ukulele that you did of, what is it, Sir Mix-a-Lot? Or, yeah.
Yeah, I like big butts. And
that's why I was singing it. I was wondering why. I'm like, one day I was like, I like big butts, and I was like, I don't know where it came from, and now I remember now.
Well, we're always trying to find, like, I play ukulele sometimes on stream, but normally I try to play like funny or meme songs. And we were like, one day we were just like talking and streaming, and I was like, man, we should try to come up with we should look up a song that you would never play on ukulele and make it like a folk song. So we looked up that song, and it was a while ago, like 6 months ago, and we would every now and then play the cover of it. And one day I was just like about to get on stream, and I was like, I'm going to record, instead of just posting a photo and saying I'm live, I was like, I'm just going to record this dumb little song and post it, and post like, people post that like, here's a video, it's inspirational, I hope it makes your day better. And I wanted to make it look like it was going to be an inspirational talk, but end up being like the dumbest cover of certain
clickbaity,
like big butts. Yeah, I want your clickbait, but I want you to stay because you expected something and it ended up being ridiculous. So I posted that, and people were just like very responsive. So I was like, oh, like the weird stuff that I do is funny to you. Great, I'm just gonna keep showing you more weird stuff that I do. Perfect, I have a lot of it.
You had a lot of videos. How do you have the time to make up all these things? Like, I see you, like, it's very clever. I mean, I've seen a lot of your clips and a lot of your like little GIFs that you make. Have you spent a lot of time, I'm assuming, doing those? I mean, social media, GIF making, video making, and also streaming. What do you find the time to do all this stuff?
I literally sent a text before I got onto this podcast, and I was like, I need a nap. So right now, the way my stream schedule is, I just cut it back, but it was 45 hours a week. I stream from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I take a break till 4, and I stream from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then I do that Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and on Saturday we stream a community stream that's also 6 hours long. And then after that we do a movie night, and then I do a book club. So I'm basically in between my streams or before my streams. Like, I'm like, what's a funny thing I can do in post, or like, what makes me laugh? Like the other day I went to Target and I was just like standing there and I was picking out temporary tattoos because I've been hoarding them my whole life. I love temporary tattoos. But I saw the mustaches and I was like, this would be I want them. So I recorded myself buying them. And then I was like in the car on the way home and that stupid freaking PPAP song came on and I was like, well, I'm going to put on a mustache and dance to this dumb song because that's what makes me laugh. I think that's funny. So yeah, I don't know. It's just normally like as much time I can in between. And even I don't really rest. Like on my days off, I normally go to a coffee shop and I edit my compilation gifs of like whatever. We currently do like RuneScape in the morning and then we do a variety stream. And so when we finish like a game, I take like the best clips or the funniest clips from that stream and like compile them all together. But that, I'm sure if you've ever edited a video, takes a lot of time to like sift through your whole stream and find like the clips that you think are funny. Yeah. Especially if you're like people will clip things, but normally for me as a girl, people clip like me saying things that come off as inappropriate and not like things that I think were funny. So I have to like go back and like re-clip like what I think is funny.
To sift all through the junk, you're just like,
you're like, let me watch 6 hours of footage real quick. Ooh. That'll be great. Yeah, basically, my schedule right now is that I work in between my work. But for me, because it's something I've been working so hard on, and it's so nice to see it actually paying back, I don't really mind. Like, it's worth it.
Yeah.
But it's also a little obsessive.
Right when everybody else would probably be taking a nap, you go chug a cup of coffee and start working more.
Let me just. Oh, is it my day off? Let me just schedule a podcast real quick. That's fine. But I don't know, like I've been waiting and working at it for so long and it's always been like something that I want to do. So like now that I see it working and paying off, I'm like, oh, well, I can't stop. I'm always like, you have to keep going. Do it while you're young. And I'm like, that's fair. One day I'll be too tired for this. And right now I'm not.
Sure. So you have a ton of followers on Twitch. Now you're starting to gain a follower on Twitter. What's the next step? What do you plan on doing? What's your next big move to get more people in to check you out?
I don't know. I think my move right now is to currently just keep at the pace that I'm at. We actually just switched the schedule. I'm trying to do more quality time and more good streams and less like what I was doing before is trying to get exposure through streaming a massive amount of time. So I'm trying to reorganize my schedule and sort of see like what draws people in. I went from like, this sounds horrible because so many people are like, social media is so important. And in my head, I was like, nah. And over the past 3 weeks, like my averages on Twitch have literally doubled. And people come into my stream and they're like, oh, I'm here from Twitter. And I'm like, that works? That shit that people tell you all the time about social media being important actually works? That's wild.
You're like, wow, like this whole time I could have just done something, but...
But I was too stubborn. I thought it was too hard. I think...
Yeah.
Also, it comes from like thinking like in order for me to be popular on social media, it's got to be like, oh, I need to post like what I expect people want to see, like just like random compilations of my stream or like the odd selfie or like these sort of things. And then really what it is just like people want to see you be yourself and like do what really makes you laugh. And then putting that out there and being like, oh, people do think what I'm doing is funny is like, oh, solid. I don't know what my next move is. People keep telling me to post on YouTube. And I'm like, I currently don't have the time. I would love to, but I also don't. I had a really big talk with my stream about this the other day. People beg me all the time. They're like, put your music on the internet, put this on the internet, put compilations on YouTube. But like, I want it to be good. And if I ever put anything out there, it's going to be stuck and it's going to be on YouTube. And if it ever gets a lot of views, then I'm stuck leaving it up and people are watching it. So my big thing with YouTube is that I want to go into it mindfully and knowing that if it goes up, that it's going to be seen by a variety of people. You
basically touched upon the fact that you didn't think that social media would actually work. I know a lot of people just do the same, they have the same concept more or less. They say that, Twitter just kind of is just there and they just put I'm going live and that's it, and they just keep posting that, and they notice that their numbers don't really go anywhere. You kind of took advantage of using social media. You put yourself out there, you showed everyone your personality. Do you think that's really what got people in?
1,000%. Like genuinely the things that I post on Twitter and haven't posted, like I posted a video yesterday that I was like, this is stupid and nobody's gonna watch it. Yesterday I was like sitting in my kitchen and I was like, I really need to clean my kitchen. I made ketchup cupcakes on stream yesterday. They were disgusting. Thank you for asking. And
oh wow.
Ketchup cupcakes.
I really hate tomatoes. So my stream's whole thing right now is that they're making me eat all tomatoes possible. And I was like, well, if we hit this sub count, I'll put ketchup in cupcakes and we'll eat those. So we did that. That was fun. But I was like standing there and I was like thinking about like how great it is to be succeeding and how it's great. But like I have a pile of laundry next to me that honestly, if I showed you guys right now, you would probably cringe so hard. It's at least 4 feet tall. And I have a dead fish in my fish tank. My fish died on Mother's Day morning. I've been taking such good care of it. He's gotten everything, but he didn't make it. He was a little puffer fish and he died. And it was so sad. I didn't want to take him out and I didn't know what to do with him. And so I just forgot and then got busy. And then so like I posted like my success on the internet is great right now. But like on my counter in my kitchen, there's literally a dead fish. So I mean, if you're balancing things, it's not going so well. But like it's just weird things that I'm like, do you want to hear this funny thing that's happening? Here it is. Do you want to hear in my Disney break room? I used to come up with weird songs to play using the Cup song when it was so popular.
Yeah.
So I used to sing My Milkshake Brings All the Boys to the Yard, but with the Cup song. And so I was like, I should post that. People really responded well to like me playing like a hip hop song on a random instrument and sung in a not the normal style. So I don't know. I think something's funny and then I think it over too long. And then normally I'm just like, let me just send it and hope, push it out into the universe and hope somebody likes it.
I guess any content's not bad content. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it could be
if
bad.
It makes me laugh.
Yeah. As long as it's good.
Yeah. I also like my brother, we're only like 14 months apart. He streams little and he will post on Twitter and do like the standard stuff. And he has more followers than me on Twitter, but he does that. You know, the people that do the like follow for follow sort of situation.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, just do this. You'll get more followers. And I was like, but if you do that, then those people aren't like actually genuinely interacting with you. And I don't really want that.
Yeah.
So it's been nice to see like people following me and then like actually interacting and coming towards you. Like, I think that's so much more valuable than going in and being like, hey, we're just going to do this and then we'll both have 5K. It'll be great.
Yeah.
But like nobody will actually watch you, but they'll be there.
What are you currently streaming?
And then I guess your following also kind of reflects that. Like you're like, oh, well, I can see my numbers going up and I can actually judge my progress as opposed to, you know, having like 20,000 followers and be like, well, I don't know where I'm at.
Yeah, why
anymore,
are there 5 people currently in my stream? Like that, I think that to me would hurt me worse to be like, man, my follower count's amazing, but nobody's watching. Like that would really hurt my feelings. I'm currently, so I stream, I main RuneScape, specifically the newer RuneScape. And I normally do that in the morning and then we variety stream in the evening. We're currently playing Ori and the Blind Forest and it's stabbing me in the soul because I suck ass at it. But I'm 50% of the way through and I'm a completionist, so we're not stopped.
So I'm confused. You said the new RuneScape. See, I was the OG RuneScape player.
Yes.
What's the difference between the old RuneScape and the new RuneScape? That's what I want to know.
Majority of the differences are A, the graphics, and B, the combat system. It's revolution based versus like the old point and click and changing your weapon like you used to do.
Yeah.
But OSRS has that's old school RuneScape. I play RS3. It has a larger following and still people love and admire and cherish OSRS. And there's actually like a really big fight over which one's better, obviously, with any game. But yeah, I played RuneScape growing up. So when I started streaming again, I was like, I should peek in and just like stream this one day. And a lot of my users and regulars were like, well, we play RS3. You should play this one. So I like came over and played it. And the community, I just like fell in love with the community and they're so kind and people were so supportive that I was like, I'm going to stay. I like you guys. So.
I got so hooked on there was mining. I'm not even going to lie. And blacksmithing. It was so much fun for me. For that and fishing.
Yeah.
I went to that
Yeah,
island.
as a kid, I used to just go chop down every single tree I could get my hands on and like fish for hours and then be like, okay, well, I have like 50 fishing and 50 mining and cutting, but I don't know how to do any combat. So now going into it, I'm like trying to learn how to do any combat in RuneScape because I never learned.
Something super embarrassing, I guess, to say on live stream is that, do you know Vanessa Carlton? I can't remember her name. Carlton.
Yeah.
That one, that's the one hit song that she had way back in the day.
Making My Way Downtown?
Yes, that song.
Song from White Chick.
The 1,000 Miles. Yes, I think.
Yeah, 1,000 Miles.
Yeah.
So I would play that song on loop and destroy like mounds of ore. Yes, it's not the best thing, but it's true. I used to do that, and as sad as that's, listen, I like all kinds of music. I even like the new Ariana Grande. I'm not even gonna lie. She has some
Ariana
good
Grande's a
stuff.
bop. She's a bop. It's a solid bop.
Yeah, I see the hip terms, man. They keep on coming. I can't even keep up with them anymore. They're like when I first heard clout was not too long ago. I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea what that meant. I was like,
I thought it was an STD, so I really feel you on that.
I was like, what's clout?
I thought it was an STD, and I was talking to my stream one day, and I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but isn't that an STD? And they're like, clout? And I was like, clout is 1,000% an STD. And they're like, no. But I like kept seeing people. They were like, "These are my cloud classes," and I was like, "What the? That's disgusting. What is that?
Why would you openly admit that?
Why would you put that on your face? What's wrong with you?" Then I figured out that's how my mom knew what clout was, and I didn't. So
yeah, I guess that'd be interesting. Like, why are you all like so publicly announcing the fact that you're all like?
I was like, did they make chlamydia cool or something?
Yeah.
Like,
we're just so old. I honestly thought I was going to be the cool person, the cool older guy that like would actually know all the hip terms and all the cool songs. And now I'm like, these kids and their hip hop and their, their clout and like all this stuff. Yeah, like what is this stuff? That's embarrassing to say.
I can't keep up. No, it's really hard. I feel like when people come in and they say things in my stream, and I'm like, is that? Like people say I'm baby now, and I think it's hilarious. But do I know what meme it originates from? Absolutely not. But am I a baby? Absolutely. So I resonate with that. But I have no idea where it comes from.
Hopefully you haven't been caught with Ligma, because that's what I think would happen if you don't keep up.
No, see, those things I'm like pretty used to. Like, so both of my parents, side note, both of my parents game. They've gamed my entire life.
What? That's awesome.
My dad used to do like scrimmages and like Battlefield and has a clan and yada yada. So like I grew up in like a gamer family. We used to plug my computer into the TV and all play Tomb Raider together. So I have like a deep seated love for video games. My mom, at one point, my dad was like playing so much Battlefield. She was like, what do I do? And then she was like, I can't beat him, join him. So now my mom plays freaking first person shooters with me.
Do they have like a TV side by side and they play together? Is that how that works?
My dad has an office and hers is like down the hall and they all talk to each other. They used to talk on Ventrilo.
That's hilarious. Oh yeah, I remember.
My mom's better at FPSs than I am. I played Fortnite with her on stream when it like first came out and she was like killing people and I was like being carried by my mother. So
I mean, that's an interesting twist. Makes your Twitch stream a little more interesting than usual.
Yeah, I'm like, do you want to hear embarrassing facts about my life and also watch my carry me in Fortnite? Come on down. I got all the content you've ever needed. Yeah, super interesting. But they're, I don't know, so supportive. I didn't want to tell them when I first started streaming that I was streaming, and I was like waiting. You know what I mean? I was like, is it going to be good enough that like, am I going to get to a point where it's going to be me being like, hey, I stream on, because they watch Twitch. Like this was like something they were like watching like while they made dinner and like sitting down. Like my parents are currently like super obsessed with GTA roleplay. Like that's their go-to. They all talked about it the other day at dinner. And I was like, I'm literally so busy. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm sure it's really fun. They're like talking about each character in their lives. But so I finally like got to a point where I was like, hey, I just wanted to tell you, I've been streaming on Twitch. And my parents were like, what? For how long? Why didn't you tell us? So like anytime I call my mom, she's like, what's your subscriber count at? How are you doing on Twitter? And I'm like,
all the details.
God, Mom! Well, it dropped off because but please don't judge me.
So does she actually stop in your stream? You, her, and her dad?
Both my parents are subscribed. My brother's subscribed. They're like so supportive. I am literally
awesome.
So people will come in and I know a lot of people that are like, my parents do not understand what I do. They don't support me. And I'm like, oh, I have like basically some cheerleaders. They're related to me. They like me a lot. Super, super lucky to have such like supportive people.
Yeah, they're like, why is
backing
this
me up.
person calling you daughter? Like, that's a weird. You're
I
like,
know, and my dad's
"Can I
screen
call
name
you?"
is literally like Filthy McNasty because he's like
That's hilarious. Oh my
fucking
god.
like gamer asshole. And I'm like, sorry, I know that nobody's gonna believe me, but that's literally my dad. So he came into my stream one time and somebody was
So
like
funny.
trolling me about like boobs or something, you know, being like a 15-year-old boy on the internet, and they were like making a boob joke, and my dad like donated money and was like, please stop talking about my daughter's boobs. And I was like,
It's
Such an, I was to say, such an awkward
by your
thing.
dad. I know, but it stopped. So thanks, Dad, for coming in.
Is he like the your bouncer, basically? You know, comes in, saves the day. You know,
Comes in, donates, tells people to shut up, leaves.
That's even
yeah,
a better moderator, because then you fucking, like, would
Right?
you rather have a moderator shut you down or their dad come in and be like, "Oh, hey, you're talking to my daughter"?
I think it would shut me down real quick. I'd be like, hey there. I mean, I obviously wouldn't do it, but I'd be like, hey there, and then they'd be like, stop talking to my daughter. I'm like, okay, sir, sorry.
sorry.
You know,
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
I'll never do it again. You know,
Oh my God, I'm really sorry.
super awkward.
Yeah. So strange. They're so funny. Now they normally, because they watch on like TV, they'll just like start texting me while I'm streaming. My dad texted me last night, nice tomato costume, scrub. So thank you, Dad. Really appreciate your love and support. Thanks for calling me a scrub. Appreciate it.
You came from nowhere. I mean, and on Twitch, you said you started streaming for a while before you did the whole Twitter thing. But what really helped you grow on Twitch?
God, I don't know. I don't know what people. I started streaming Skyrim, and I've always been like, I've always had theater-based jobs, and I've always been like the kind of person that's like, I'm gonna do this weird thing. I want to dress up because I want to. So when we did our Skyrim playthrough, I would wear elf ears, and like I one day was like, I'm gonna take this lipstick, and you know, I had an elf character, and she had like elf war paint on her face, and I just took like my like permanent lipstick and like placed it on my face. And I was like, oh, we'll just do this. This will be fun. And I remember like, so I talked about it on Twitter like a month ago. I remember so vividly. It was like the night that people I didn't know subscribed to me, like 6 of them in a row. And I was like,
whoa,
you know what I mean? Like the first subscribers were that they're like, not your mom. You're like, oh my God. And I have like,
not your mom.
The hashtag my name on Twitch is now not your mom. They just like started subscribing, and I just remember being like, oh my God, I'm like, what is happening? And they were so nice. And I do this weird thing on my stream called the Lucky Dance. I used to do it in like the minimalist form when I was like doing auditions for Disney. My friend would turn on this song. It's called Lucky by the band Lucky Twice. And she would do this thing. The lyrics are literally like, I'm so lucky. And she would just do like this. And it was like, let's go into this audition, and even if they think that we're ugly, it'll be fine, because we would like go. It's like it's like modeling almost. You go into a thing and they look at you and then they kick you out, and you're like, it's like such a defeating thing to have to do over and over again.
Horrifying.
Oh, it's awful.
I'd be so stressed out. If I was judging my looks, I'd be kicked out of every single thing before I even got there. Like, okay, well, you can just walk on back out.
Just get the fuck out of here.
Basically, yeah.
And then you have to dance too. So I was like, oh God, not only am I not good looking enough, I also can't dance. So let me just get the fuck out of here.
That's basically embarrassing for me. I can't dance. I'll be honest. Gemshi can dance though.
Auditions, so.
Oh, you fell?
Oh yeah.
Oh, please do tell.
Well,
I got a new move to show you guys.
Listen,
it's really cool.
Great, it's really cool. Let me try to twirl and fall in front of all of you. It'll be fantastic. Maybe you'll hire me for a clown instead of a princess. Yeah, it was actually my first audition. I didn't realize I had never danced growing up, so I've never been to like any sort of like theater or dance audition like that. Everybody wears athletic clothes. I had no idea. People were in like yoga pants, and they had like jazz shoes on, and I showed up in kitten heels and a button-up dress. So I was just like standing there like, I wish I could call my mom to pick me up, but I was like, I'll just stay. But I was in heels, and they were very slippery, and this was the audition that ironically I got my job at, but I twirled and literally like slid on the floor. And,
so you still got the job after you twirled and fell?
Still got the job, though. Still got the job. But
they must have been like, wow, she's like actually like dressing up like a princess, so that this is how she will dance when she's in a princess costume.
Really think so. I always tell people, I think the only reason I got the job is I had just come back on a trip from like England, and I'm really good at like mimicking something. If I hear it, I'm not like an incredible person at doing accents, and I don't think I'm an incredible actress, but like if somebody does something, I'm pretty good at listening and being like, I can repeat that. Like I can make that happen. And one of the girls was like, I'm so excited you're auditioning and you get to do a Scottish accent. And I was like, oh, they told us not to do the Scottish accent. Like they said we didn't have to. And the girl read off my script that I was supposed to audition with. It's like 3 lines. She read it off in a Scottish accent. And I was like, and went into the audition and was like, balls to the wall, let's go. And like said everything in my Scottish accent and was the only person that got hired. So ended up like that girl got hired later on in life. And we were sitting next to each other like one day getting ready for the job. And I was like, I tell everybody that the reason I got my job is because you told me how to talk in a Scottish accent. And we ended up being like really good friends. So life is just so strange. I was like, thank you so much for existing. You got me my job.
Yeah, I think you also taught us a pretty valuable lesson in the fact of just continue to go on even if you're out of your element. I mean, you said you're underdressed or overdressed, I guess you could say.
Very overdressed.
And then you also fell during your audition. I mean, those are 2 things that I probably would have tapped out. Like if I was overdressed and I fell during like an audition, I probably would have left. But you continue to push on and you got the job. I mean,
yeah.
Do you have that kind of attitude towards Twitch?
Yeah, I think so. I think that in my head, I think a lot of people think that there's either 2 ways to think about it. My mom is very much the dreamer. My mom is like, these are my goals. They're incredible. They're lofty. I've got it. My mom is incredible. She runs like a DIY blog and YouTube. She has millions of views on her YouTube. My mom is more popular than me on the internet. I'll go ahead and say it. I'm not too ashamed to admit that. She makes all this incredible stuff. Like she's popular with like that Pinterest mom crowd. She's beautiful and talented. She does all this incredible stuff. My dad is very like realistic and like hardworking. And I like to think like I'm a good solid mix of those. I think that I am funny and I think that I am pretty entertaining. And I think that if I continue to like work hard enough that I can achieve a reasonable amount of success. So I think that if I just keep pushing towards that I know that I will achieve it. And I think some people think that it's like cocky to think like, oh, I know I'm good enough. But like, I think you have to be aware that you are providing something that people will watch, or if you're not believing that you can do that, then like, why would anybody else want to watch what you're providing? Like if you don't even think that it's worth it.
I think that people don't have or don't understand the value in themselves sometimes, and they kind of undersell themselves. They kind of think that, I haven't really done anything with it, but if I try hard and I don't succeed, then, I don't really, I don't want to feel that failure. So I'm just not going to do it at all. And they don't really push through it. But if you kind of have confidence in yourself, it's not being, there's a difference between being cocky and confident in yourself.
Yeah.
But I think that confidence is key, because then you'll actually do something you want to do. I mean, it might push you to do something you don't want to do, kind of like your audition.
Yeah.
So,
I think that you just have to push, and I also think there's a happy marriage. For me, at least, my mom's like, why limit yourself? Like, why say like, oh, these are because she'll talk to me and I'm like, she's like, I think by next year you'll have 1,000 subscribers. And I'm like, that's great. And I'm so glad that you think that of me. But like, I'm going to set like these goals and I want them to be achievable, because I know that if I then succeed past those goals, I'll feel so much better in myself than if I set these lofty goals and I fall short. And then I feel disheartened and I stop working as much because I'm upset by it. So I think depending on who you are as a person, it's either amazing to set like really lofty goals or to set like lofty but reasonable goals so that you can achieve them and then feel better and then push harder. Because my past month, which has been incredible, I've hit so many of my goals and like tenfold. And I'm like, it's such an amazing feeling that it's such a driving feeling for me to be like, oh, well, these things like I never expected to happen are happening. So I'm going to set higher but still reasonable goals to continue to hit those. I don't know. I think it's just got to be a happy marriage for you as a person.
I think also when you set the goals, you have to also understand that just because you set the goal, you have to understand what steps I need to take to get to that goal too.
Yeah,
like you said, when it's lofty, you're like, well, you understand all the work that's involved with that. And you're like, well, is that even, like, I don't know. Because you want to be able to kind of like gauge yourself on the way up there too.
1,000%. And I think that I was trying to explain this. I met up with one of my friends who was visiting, and her dad was really interested that I'm like a full-time Twitch streamer. He was like, I want to ask you a lot of questions. And I was like, fine, go ahead, feel free. And he was like, do you think that this is reasonable? Like, do you think that you can keep going? And he was like, do you see yourself like becoming crazy popular? And I was like, there's 2 ways to go about being popular on Twitch. Honest to God. Like, I think that you get just fucking in, you win. You know what I mean? Somebody finds you and you blow up. You know, it's like winning the lottery. There's like people who just get so lucky and deserve it and blow up. And then there's like the people who are there and they put in the time and the effort and they grind until they get to success. And I think that there's those 2 ways to go about it. I'm sure there's somewhere in the middle where you get a little bit of both. And I was like trying to explain that. I was like, I have yet to receive this like magical golden pot of just magical success, but I'm like here and I know that I have these skills and that if I keep going, that it's already full time, so I can continue to succeed for more. So
I think a lot of people just kind of coast on the hope that luck will take over. You know, I just feel like there's a lot of people out there that don't think that Twitch is hard work, and they just like one lucky break will set me above everybody else. But that's not necessarily how it happens for everybody. I mean, there's a majority of the people, they actually have to really grind and network and constantly put themselves out there to bring more individuals in, different people they never, had in their stream before. But I think there's this common misconception that people I had it before. I mean, I thought that I'd be doing great on Twitch. I'm really good at Battlefield, and like I end up being on the top of the charts every single game. Like I'm number 1 all the time. They'll flock in and see me, but that's not the case. I mean, you got to be personable. You got to be relatable. People got to enjoy the content that you put out there. Yeah. But do you see yourself not really acting, but like you're very theatrical, and that's a fantastic part, of it, because it's a very entertaining stream. Do you find yourself holding back, or are you just yourself, or do you find yourself acting?
I think that as a person, like in my own personal life, over the past year, I've gone from I've felt I've been pretty dependent and lenient on people, and I think working at Disney, I'm pretty used to acting a certain way to make people like me. You know what I mean? I pretended to be like the happiest, bubbliest person alive for 4 years straight. I smiled for 10 hours at a time. And I think that when I first started streaming, that was like really what I was pushing, is like, I'm going to continue being like Disney version of me. But that was like also something I was struggling with, like in my real life, is like who am I? I'm 26. I've moved 3 places in the past few years. I, especially relationship wise, like don't really know what I'm striving for. And I feel like I've made like my own decisions very specifically over the past year to help grow who I am specifically as myself. And like, I've had multiple people, but especially like my mom say, like, you have become like who I know you are, and like who I've grown to see you like be as an independent person in your stream. Like that's like who you are there is who you are like in the real world. I think that it's very much so me feeding off of chat's energy, especially when I'm like being super loud and super comedic. But I don't think that I'm like forcing something, which I felt like I used to, like forcing like an overly positive mindset, or forcing like to be like super kind all the time. Like if you're a dick, I'm going to give it back to you. Like I'm going to make it a joke. Like I'm not going to be like, I'm going to put up with this.
Do you think it's because of chat though? Like just because you said the interaction kind of, you fed off of that in a sense, because is it because that maybe earlier on in your career, there wasn't that much chat interaction that you kind of like maybe were down on yourself, or is there maybe another reason why you felt that you weren't yourself?
I think that I was just at a point in my life where I was like, this is the person that I'm going to continue to be. This is what people see me as. So this is what I'm going to give them. And then as I grew personally in my life and was like, well, these are my goals, and this is how I want to be. Like, I was like, should I be a PG streamer? I'm not as a human being, a PG person. Like I worked at Disney for 4 years, and after I was done, I was like, I can't do it anymore. I can't be an elementary school teacher. Like my whole family, we make stupid dick jokes. Like me and my mom are always yelling, "That's what she said" at each other. Like
the Office comments, I love those. I still do. Not gonna lie.
That's not who I am. Like I like, this is my sense of humor, and I didn't want to like tone it down anymore. Like, am I gonna make these dumb innuendos? Like, am I gonna say what's coming to my head? Like, is it sometimes stupid? Do I sometimes regret it? Yeah. But is it normally funny? Also, yeah. But they're just like, over time, I think I realized like I like as little parts slipped out that I was like, oh, this feels natural. Like this feels like the most like me. I was like, I'm going to continue to push like towards who I actually think that I am, and not
right. And I think that helps with I guess like that's similar to like being creative. It's like when you try new things, you kind of figure out what you like and what you don't like. The more things that you try, the more that you kind of find yourself in that. And I guess that helps like even as a personality. Like, yeah, you make jokes and you're like, well, that one really didn't feel like me, or you know, like which jokes do I like more? You know, if you just stay in that little hub, you'd never really look out of where you're.
Yeah, you're like, I'm just gonna sit here and smile and hope that it works instead of just you'd like take little aspects from your whole life and you're like, oh, these are the things that
kind of like a kid waiting to swear, you know. Like I find out which one of my favorite swear words were. I'm like, that's my favorite swear word. I'm like, let me try this one out.
Dick bag at someone. Man.
Yeah, I would be very creative in the past, and I would mix things together. Like I don't know, just ridiculous amounts of things. And I was finding my art. You know, my sentences. What was it? SpongeBob sentences and answers. Yes, exactly. But,
I've noticed a lot lately, and people in my stream will say it to me. Like I always call people a butt cheek, and I don't know why, but I'm always like, God, you're being such a butt cheek. I say it to my dogs. I'm like, come on, you gotta go. We gotta go to your kennel. You're being a butt cheek. But people in my stream will say it back to me like, oh, did you just say butt cheek? You're pulling a Lux. What's going on? I'm like, oh, is that my curse word of choice? Is butt cheek? Like I'm like a 13-year-old at like Wednesday night church camp.
Like and they're like, oh, you're such a butt cheek, you know?
God, you're such a butt. Sorry, they can't say God. You're such a butt cheek. Very much so.
Have you ever lost it while in character? I really wanted to ask you that, and I completely forgot the question. But I was like, when you were, Wonder Woman or the character from Brave, did you ever like almost lose it, or have you lost it while you're in character? I can't do this.
I've never, I think I value myself pretty heavily on being like this, especially at Disney. Maybe as Wonder Woman, Six Flags doesn't, sorry, Six Flags, if you're listening, they don't really give a shit. They don't. You can definitely see, in their marketing and in their parks compared to Disney, why there's such a separation. Disney has, there is such a, deep tie to magic at those theme parks. And the people that work there value the shit out of it. and when you're in this group club and you're like, yeah, some people hate it, but we all do our job. And there's also this it's always being filmed. You're always being filmed. You're always being people are always taking photos of you. People are always listening. And in the beginning, the area that I worked in, I was mic'd and people were watching me because I had puppets that would interact with me. And I could talk under my breath to my puppeteer who was in charge. But there was just, I never thought I'm not gonna do anything stupid. I know a girl that called somebody an asshole under her breath, but they had it on video and she lost her job. It's just
oh wow, so you couldn't even slip up? Really?
Yeah, you can't slip up, but you can't get mad. But I had a guy, he was an older man, come up to me, and when I was newer, people would always look at strange parts of my costume. My character came out and debuted before the movies came out. So people were really interested in me. They're like, who is this fucking person? What is she doing? Why is she yelling at me in a Scottish accent? Who's this horse? What are these bears doing? He came up and I thought he was going to look at my boots, but he grabbed the hem of my skirt and pulled it up my leg. So what? I literally instinctively was like, ha-cha! And and my poor attendant who's supposed to help me had bronchitis, and she was trying to communicate, and it was just one of those moments where I was sorry if I wasn't supposed to hit him, but also don't fucking touch me,
though, isn't it?
1,000%. But should I have done that? 1,000% no. We're also never supposed to say no to people. It's one of those things where you're
what?
You don't want to be negative. So it's not, instead of saying no, you sort of say instead, let's do this. You know what I mean? It's a positive reaffirmation sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's like a dog or a child. You're how about we go do this instead? Or you distract them. Basically, the way you're supposed to lead an interaction is how I view my stream. You talk the whole time and then you're done. So the interaction was, here's 30 seconds with this person. You storyline the whole time. You pose them for a picture, and then you say goodbye. And then there's never a moment of awkwardness where they can come up and say weird things or do an awkward, there's no awkward silences. And I think people are like, how do you just talk so much? And I was like, I just talked about literal nonsense for 4 years straight every day. I would just come up with bullshit off the top of my head. And I think that was a really valuable trait to learn.
I guess that would come out of desperation too, where you're like, I need to talk about something. I'm just going to start reaching for anything you can.
Yeah, you're like, look, so this morning I went off picking berries and we were riding a horse. There were some bears. You just like come up with random stuff in storyline and talk about it. But if you don't, I've seen firsthand, like people say like wild stuff to you. Like kids would come up to me and be like, I pooped my pants. And I'd be like, dope. Thanks for that. Let's take a picture.
Super positive. Yeah. Good job of pooping your pants today. You did an excellent job.
Kids would like come up and like show me like their underwear because they would have a picture of me on them. And I was like, that's amazing. Put your underwear down. Like, you don't know who these adults are. Please, God. Like, please. And there was definitely more times at Six Flags as Wonder Woman that I felt like I could be like, fuck, dude.
No one really cared. And like, you're just
no. Oh, absolutely not. I got my job at Six Flags and it paid, so much better than my job at Disney. So I kind of expected. The audition process was so serious. I was filmed and they sent my footage to WB. And they had to approve me. And the first time they didn't like my footage. So I drove back from North Carolina to Maryland and refilmed footage. And they sent it back again. And finally, the park president of the park I was auditioning for was like, we really need her. Could you just push her through? So they like pushed me through. But when I got there, I drove up. I filled out all my forms in one day. And this guy who was younger than me, who was my manager at the time, my leader at the time, was like, all right, we're going to just put you in costume and send you out. And I was like, what? I worked at Disney for 4 years. The like by the book method of like, here's what you're going to do. Here's what you can say. Here's how you're trained to do it. This is exactly how you're going to do it. Here's your test day. Here's your other test day. That's like how I learned. And they were like, all right, here you go. You worked at Disney, so we trust you. It's literally what they said. And I was like, okay. And I was with like this Batman and he was like constantly like talking about wanting to get a beer, like in front of like the kids. And I was just always like, I have to be in character. Please stop it. My Disney brain is tearing apart. The FBI is do it. Like I was having such a hard time. But I was in a very revealing costume. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen like drawings of typical Wonder Woman, but she's in hot pants. So I was in hot pants and like a bustier corset and like essentially naked and like knee-high boots. And people would say shit all the time. And they were attendants like watching me, but they were also like, I used to call them my bodyguards because they were like all really strong men and they would just like stand behind me and like cover my butt and like look at people. But there were times that I was just like, shut up. Shut up. Please stop yelling about my ass in front of like all 5-year-olds who think that I'm a superhero. You're being dumb. But yeah, it was just
being a butt cheek.
You're being a butt cheek. I know you're yelling about my butt cheeks, but you're also being a butt cheek. Yeah, they definitely were just like more vulgar there. So I was like, nobody cares. Nobody's going to fire me. Like, unless I do something ridiculous.
And you said he paid more, so you kind of like...
1,000%.
They're
like, here's a hotel. Yeah, it was a very interesting experience. And I was also like one of the only like people that had just been a performer before. So they were like, do you want to just stay? And it gets cold in Maryland, which I'm not used to. I'm from Florida.
Yes,
so
it does.
they're like, do you want to do, Wonder Woman doesn't stay out all year because she can't just be in, hot pants in the middle of December. Do you want to do our Halloween show? Like, you can be our main character. And I was like, and they're like, do you want to be in these 2 dance shows? I think you can do it. And I was like, well, if you think I can do it, let's fucking go. But I tell my chat all the time, and I'm like, and that accidentally became a professional dancer because people literally paid me to dance at a theme park, and I don't know why they did that.
Hey, if someone paid me to dance, I'd dance. I don't know how well I dance, but I'd do it.
There's videos on the internet, and let me just pretend they don't exist. Let me never look at them.
I'm sure
they're posted by your mom or dad, probably.
Oh, no. My parents never saw me at Six Flags. They saw me at Disney a few times, but they never came up to... I was only there like a year and a half, so they didn't see me at... I'm glad, too. It's not a good theme park. I'm sorry, Six Flags of America. It's just like a really small, like kind of like poorly runs. I'm just like imagining like...
How dare you? We're going to get sponsored by Six Flags.
Six Flags commercials, like the old man like kicking down my door and like whacking me with his cane.
I don't know if I remember those commercials.
The Venga bus crushes
through.
They crash through.
Those are the best commercials. They actually had good commercials, I'll admit that though. Yeah. I love the old guy, because it'd always be
Pescador was like the old guy would come out of the bus like on like really like slowly walking, and then like suddenly it was just like party time, and the guy would just like throw his cane
they would
down
play
and start
Bang the Bus
dancing.
really loud, and he starts like getting down. That guy is gonna come to my house if I talk poorly about Six Flags, and he's gonna kill me.
Like the Kool-Aid man just break through your door. Be like, oh yeah.
Bust into my house, and you guys never hear from me again. And you're like, oh, it's because she said that thing.
Well,
No, we're gonna see you kidnapped and put into a Six Flags commercial.
Could you imagine full circle in like a year? Six Flags commercial. See, now I have to audition for one.
But it would just be a normal Florida day. They'd be like, and Florida woman get kidnapped from a guy from Six Flags commercial, and then that would be it, and then move on, and then be like, other man stabbed someone else with a rusty seam ripper over Red Bull or something ridiculous, you know? So
in other news, a woman was kidnapped from her home.
yeah, exactly.
Forced to be in a Six Flags commercial. Back to you, Jim.
And they just don't bat an eyelash. And they like, free Jim for the weather. And Jim's like, it's gonna be hot. Fantastic, Jim. You know?
Thanks so much, Jim. It's raining anacondas.
I know, right? We've covered a large amount of information.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. We wanted to kind of go off the rails sometimes because, you know, it's interesting to hear about the streamer's life, you know? I think it's very interesting. We've never had another individual that actually was in the entertainment business, and it's kind of nice to see that aspect of it because there's a lot of entertaining that goes into it, you know? But from you growing up on Twitch, you utilizing Twitter, you gaining a lot more people now, what advice would you give aspiring streamers?
Oh my God. I mean, obviously, I feel like I've been pushing this message the whole time, but don't ignore social media. Interact. I think that there's, I know that people say this all the time, but like it definitely is a community and it reflects who you are. So don't put up with that person that makes you feel uncomfortable. And he probably makes the rest of the chat feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? So push more, I think, on social media. Be yourself. Unless you're like the worst person ever and you're just so mean, maybe brand that, you know? Yeah. Be the meanest person on
Sell it.
Go for it. Sell it. I don't know. I think don't ignore other people's advice so long. My ex was a social media manager, and she was like, you just listen, you got to focus on social media. And I was like, nah. It's like growing up, my dad was like, you should really read Harry Potter. And I was like, my dad likes it. Nah. And then I read it one day and I was like, shit. Harry Potter is incredible. So people tell you to do stuff to probably, for a reason, maybe look into it. Maybe try that out for size. And just set some good achievable goals and accomplish them and keep going. Keep going is my motto right now. Just keep going.
Just keep swimming. You're full of sayings anymore. Playing Dory sometimes.
I brought them up. I have just like a list of like cheesy Pinterest things to tell you all. Let me just roll that out.
That's
for
like
you.
This whole interview was just us getting.
I've just been trying to slide them in every few minutes. It's actually been a challenge for myself.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We truly appreciate having you on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's such a good time.
And thank you for listening to this episode of the Rad Gaming Podcast. You can check out our guests by clicking the link in the description.
Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and rate and subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever else you listen to podcasts.
We release a new episode every Wednesday and Friday. And as always, stay rad, comrades.